How you like Cromartie bring out his kids? How fucking hilarious would that be?
That'd be good.
I don't think he has enough
think
space.
he'd get him
I-
right.
There's
yeah,
not enough
that's
space on the
space.
podium. Yeah, baby!
We're ready.
We haven't stopped. Despite the pleas to stop, we continue to do it.
How many episodes do we have? 9? 8?
Gotta
Producer-
be double. It's gotta be done. Today's double
10?
digits.
10. Woo!
Ah, Betty,
The
get it
10th
out.
anniversary show. Woo! You see the pollen dropping out from the trees?
Here's where we don't fuck
My
around
age and
anymore.
lifestyle,
Where
I'm
you
glad
going?
to still be here through 10
Gelman,
episodes.
where's Gelman going? He's leaving?
Gelman's gone.
He's pissed off. He's not happy with it.
He said, screw you guys.
I don't know what he's doing.
But we're on, right?
No.
Yes,
We're on,
hi
we're on,
everybody.
we're live.
back
We're
again.
not live.
Hey, Cleon Jones.
Listen, if it's not working, just keep doing it. You ever tell a joke that,
Progressively gets better.
yeah,
As
if
tell
you
it.
keep telling it and telling it and telling it, and then finally it's not really the joke that's funny, it's the fact that this fucking guy's saying this again, and the joke gets fun. Like, you know.
Well, I know you do that.
Yeah, I do it all the time. This is what this show
I'm
is.
always
A
good.
joke that's going to be funny. By the 50th episode, and guys will be like, are they fucking doing this again? But it'll be amusing. And honestly, that's all life needs to be, is amusing.
That's it.
That's it. It doesn't take too much more
They'll
than
give
that.
us credit for balls anyway.
Well, you know, balls. We got little balls and
They
fireballs.
come in a glass,
Yeah, we got
but-
ball
they come in a glass,
fireballs.
but it's still good.
Cheers, boys. What do you got? You want me to read the email that we got? All right, we only got 2 emails, and we're coming on. It seems like about once a month now, right?
Good once a month.
Anyway, you know our old
Solid.
friend Jizzy Pete. He noticed that we only come on once a month. So here's his email. I noticed you guys are coming on about once a month. Perfect. Like my wife's period. Misery that I can clock. Fuck you, Jizzy Pete. Jizzy Pete still doesn't like us, but he follows. He follows.
What's that old thing?
It's like Francesca.
Yeah. Francesca. Oh, there's an amusing thing. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But anyway, I am better at this than you guys. I am more engaging and I am more entertaining, and I am too. That is signed by Riley Curry,
Oh.
Stefan Curry's daughter.
If we had Riley Curry on,
Watching the show.
we'd be at least at like 20,000 views with Riley Curry.
I know you got your little fucking list there. Can I talk about Riley Curry for a minute?
We could talk about Riley Curry. I love Riley Curry.
Yeah, of course you do, because you're 25 years old. You
She's
know
great
what
for the NBA.
You know what the fuck's going on. Are you shitting me? Do you need to have your child with you on the podium? What the fuck? What is that? When you were on patrol, did you have your kid because I'm gonna bring him along to my
No,
job?
I didn't have him ride along for
no.
the.
On a leash. I met your children too. They should be on a leash. But anyway, that's ridiculous to me. And I know we got this cute little story, and it was on the Today Show today. Oh, America's new little sweetheart. That get the fucking kid off.
She's gonna make millions by the time she's like 5.
Well,
They don't need
She's
the
gonna
money.
be on every commercial.
They don't
ever.
need the money. Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
I kind of thought it was just not the place.
which brings
No,
you
but
to
he doesn't
cute.
bring it. He
That's
doesn't
not
bring it
the
on on press conferences when he loses a game, though.
If he loses a game,
He doesn't bring
no,
it on.
No.
Because I guess he's more serious then. I guess if he wins, it's just like, all right, it's happy-go-lucky.
It is utterly ridiculous that an NBA player, and I've seen it now, it's a trend, that they bring their child onto a podium.
Everyone
It's
does it,
ridiculous.
yeah.
It's
I don't
ridiculous.
blame
It's
him.
absolutely
I
ridiculous.
don't blame just him. Everyone does it.
Right. And if we were funnier, motherfucker, if we had thought this out, I would have had a fucking baby prop with me right now.
Yep.
But I didn't think about it. Shit.
Yep.
I got to think this out a little bit. I could come up with a 2-year-old. You'd be surprised.
I did come up with it too.
I thought it was a little. I didn't realize it was a little silly myself. I mean, well, you know,
Oh, my God.
it's just not the. We know everybody has children and they're nice and they're cute, and when you bring them out there, you know, but it's just really not. It's not the forum for it. You're there to talk about the game, talk about what's coming up, that type of stuff. I
Not
don't
the
think-
forum for it, Max. Not the forum for it. As soon as he walks out with someone's got to raise their hand and go, "What the fuck is she doing here?" There's no babysitter. He's right. You walk. Think about it.
Exactly.
And here's what we don't
at
do.
the game.
And here's what we don't do. And A-Rod hitting 11 home runs. Go fuck him too. In fact, he's on steroids. We don't look logically at
ribbies.
things anymore. When he walks out there with a 2-year-old child, no one says to him, "Guy, you got 7 people who will watch your kid. Why is he bringing her out there? What is his motivation for bringing that girl out there?
I guess he wants to share the experience.
Share the experience. She's 2. She's shitting her pants.
She ain't even gonna remember.
She's not even going to remember. And he's
She
going to
will.
show a
Do the
video
videos.
back then. You know, look what I did with you. And she's going to be like, well, I was scared. Daddy, you didn't protect me. And now, it's like de Blasio's kid. I know it seems like a reach, but it's not. De Blasio got elected by putting his kid on ads in the paper.
Yes.
Dante, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. You got elected because of that. Now your kid is fair game. He's fair game. And you want to put your kid out there like that? Now Riley Cooper is fair game. Meaning, now if she gets photographed,
Riley Curry, not Riley Cooper.
Why don't
Not the
you-
racist. The
Oh,
other
so you're
one.
not the racist guy. Riley Curry is now fair game. If she's in the park with her mom, this is what you did. Well, now you're gonna have paparazzi around you. Good luck with that. You know. But that was a self-inflicted wound. We talk about self-inflicted wounds.
And nobody turns around, and you're right. Nobody turns around and say, "Wait,
Skip
wait, wait,
Bayless
wait,
actually said something
Let's
about
do
it today,
something.
and I hate Skip Bayless.
Let's
Oh,
not
did he
do
really?
that."
Yeah, he was.
Same
he
way?
Went, yeah, he went
Same-
off. He
oh,
went
yeah.
off for about
Did
like
he?
15 minutes today.
Yeah.
He was like, she has no place there.
Doesn't anybody?
Talk about
There's so many
men.
people around these guys. You wonder the choices they make. Doesn't anybody ever tell them, "Look, that's probably not a good idea. It's not a
But
good
I guess
choice.
it's not that crazy now in the media generation where everything. LeBron's kid's on freaking. LeBron's kid has 1 million views on YouTube.
Well, that's
playing.
that's a little bit of a different thing because LeBron's kid also was on commercials with LeBron. I understand that. Being on YouTube and making, putting something up is one thing. LeBron's not dragging his kid out. At least I don't think he did.
I think he
Has he really?
Yeah, I know Dwayne Wade has.
Right.
Brought his kid out.
And I know you're trying to say like I'm a good father, and I'm not saying Stephen Curry's not a good father. He's actually, when you think about it, a solid role model. Him and his family.
Right, that's true.
He's married. His wife's pregnant.
Pregnant
He's gonna
again,
have another. He's gonna have another kid. I mean, it's really what you really want to see, but you don't need to bring out your
Right.
child and do that. So whatever,
All
You
right.
want to talk about child issues with the NBA and the NFL? That we can discuss.
Let's-
How do you like? I'm gonna do one more thing. How do you like to Cromartie bring out his kids? How fucking hilarious would that be?
That'd be good.
I don't think he has enough
think
space
you get
on-
him
I
right.
don't think
There's
he
not
has
enough space on the podium.
No,
No,
there's not
there's
space.
not enough. And
And he wouldn't remember their names.
names.
He'd be like 7,
Right. Yeah.
6, you.
That bitch.
Good. 7-6, you.
You're giving him more credit than I would. He's like that bitch in Detroit, that bitch in Florida. That's a joke. That's not a good joke.
Let's move it on to Mike's favorite topic, A-Rod. 11 home runs, 26 RBIs, 276 average. Pass. Who did he just pass for all time?
Lou Gehrig.
Oh, Lou Gehrig.
Just passed
I
Lou
don't
Gehrig.
think Lou Gehrig. He's better than Lou Gehrig.
Go ahead.
Listen, you guys go first, man. I got a lot to say.
Listen
about it,
to Joe
obviously, but-
Girardi talk in the postgame was a little bit revolting to me because he's actually taking that number like it's completely legitimate. Well, look who he's going past, and actually comparing him to Lou Gehrig. And I'm like, wait a minute, stay clear of that. That's the whole thing is tainted. Everybody knows it, and now you're like almost pretending like it doesn't. And you're going to start comparing A-Rod to Lou Gehrig, and he just passed him. I thought
It's vile. To have him mentioned in the same breath as Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig is vile.
right.
It's vile.
Now the next guy is okay.
Which one?
He's about to go past Barry Bonds, so that's the same.
Yeah.
But
we listen again. The offer's there. My house. If he is not playing on steroids this year, my house. Prove to me you're not playing on steroids. He's playing on steroids through the therapeutic use exemption. We all know this. Okay, we understand it's a HIPAA issue, which I know from my real job,
Right.
that you can't really, if someone's taking any medication
No,
or
you
anything,
can't.
you
You
can't
can't
know
disclose
about it.
it,
And we
right.
understand that. But it's been done before. It's being done again. There's no doubt about it because
Right.
you can't tell me that a guy who can't produce testosterone is having this type of year.
I
The
think he
fact-
produces plenty of
the fact that
testosterone.
he
I
is
just
not-
think they won't.
Completely ostracized in baseball is an interesting point. And the interesting point is this. Joe Girardi is defending him because
Need basis?
no, Joe Girardi is defending him because Joe Girardi did steroids. So the game
Ooh.
is flooded. Mark McGuire is on a bench. These guys are not ostracized. It's fine. Everything's good. Nelson Cruz signs a nice contract. No
Brian
problem
Brown
at all.
signs a nice contract.
Well, he signed it before he got caught. But it doesn't matter if you get
Ryan
caught.
Bond's on
If
it
you get
again.
caught doing steroids, there's no repercussions. You sign a bigger contract. Melky Cabrera signed a 2-year contract, $16 million, after he had a 50-game suspension.
Right.
There is no disincentive for these guys not to do it. You get a job in baseball, it doesn't matter. And so this omerta, or whatever the fuck, that you want to call it, this mob mentality of like, well, don't tell on our own, tells you everything you need to know. Tells you everything you need to know. Because it's a group of guys who are in this together, fuck the public, forget about the fans. They need to perform, which I do understand there's a lot of pressure to do, but it just makes, here's what it does. And I'm filibustering a little bit, and I apologize for it, but here's what it does. You guys brought up steroids, so I see your faces like, can you shut the fuck up? Here's what it does. You got Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper would have been the best story going.
But we
18
don't
jacks,
know.
6 each way.
We don't know.
Did you see what he did the other day? He popped the ball up to left, and he thought he popped up.
Yeah, the wind. That was
best.
Chicago. I saw that in the '80s and the '70s.
Yeah, that's
Chicago. The
that
wind
is-
is like there's times that the wind just. What you say?
Here's something
Yeah,
that,
they
I here's something
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to bring up, and I guess steroids is probably, unfortunately, the only answer. But
Especially when Bryce Harper.
your
gave
son
25 pounds.
Andy has played baseball for how long? Since he was 5.
Yeah, since organized.
Right.
Yeah,
Because I coached him for a while. And
Yeah.
he's a terrific player. I'm going to shy away from the pitching injuries because I think that pitching is so stressful on the shoulder and the elbow
yeah.
that it's hard to throw that in the mix. But through all the years, and we're talking now competitive baseball, travel teams, high school, now he finished his freshman year. How many injuries has he had?
He had one pretty significant actually.
One injury.
Yeah, one with his elbow.
What is
That's
that?
significant, but the guy's like, listen, put him for 6 weeks. But that's because he had a coach at South High School, Kenny Ward, who I fucking hate, and I'll say it right on camera, who pitched him 134 pitches one day. I'm a
He pitched
teacher,
him
so
over 100 pitches.
134 pitches. He was in 10th grade. 125 pounds,
Wow.
45-degree day.
Wow.
It was man, he told me. And then another time, he did that one year, and I talked to him. I said, look, what are you doing? And then he did it again the following year. Threw him 127.
Now,
127 pitches, and he was
ridiculous.
And he was
But
140 pounds.
I'm gonna do. I said let's eliminate the pitching because there's so much stress.
Yeah.
Even though that's completely insane.
Okay.
So has he ever been hurt?
No.
No,
No,
never been hurt.
it's not.
Now I have a son, same age as yours, same year. Other than pitching, because he pitched. Other
Yeah.
than pitching injuries, other than a bruise or some shit, never been hurt.
Yeah.
How is it? And it was not like this in I remember baseball in the 60s, 70s, 80s. How are these guys always hurt?
Well,
It's Mike. It has now become mind-boggling. They can, and never mind the Mets, because the Mets, you go out with a hangnail, and a month later, not only is your career in jeopardy,
Yeah.
but it's possible you're going to be in critical condition in the hospital.
right.
It has to be something. It can't. Baseball just doesn't do that.
I don't.
You can get hurt, but
I have
not
an
like
opinion
this.
About it, but what do you think about it? I mean, again,
It's
from
insane.
it's insane.
Everybody's on the stuff. And other than everybody being on the stuff, everybody works out a lot different than they did. They don't work out like baseball workouts anymore. Like you seen Bryce Harper getting 25 or 30 pounds this offseason. Like he looks like he could go play like outside linebacker.
Danny, you're a good man to see right around now.
Hey, look at you! Christmas comes early at me.
Nice.
Oh, you have cell phones.
This is Fireball.
Thank you.
And I keep saying you never do anything.
Shut the fuck up.
That's the son, Danny.
Exit stage left. Exit, as Shakespeare would say. My opinion about it is this: I don't know if they're all in juice. I don't know that, but you know what Kevin went through as far as playing for Division II baseball. I know what Andy went through playing Division III baseball, and the workouts are crazy. I mean, it's unbelievable how much these guys work out.
Mhm.
So it used to be, baseball was a sport that used to be like, that's why it produced so many great stories, where just kind of naturally kids were fucking good. Like all of a sudden, like, holy shit, who's that kid who can throw 95 miles an hour coming out of Texas? Nolan Ryan.
Right.
Who's that kid who can Johnny Bench? Who's that? And they were just almost God-gifted to me, and this is why I love baseball, almost God-gifted to be a baseball player because it takes a unique set of skills.
Right.
Now, we're trying to make baseball players. We're trying to make them. So whether it's hitting coaches, repetitive, just hitting, whether it's pitching coaches, pitching, they're constantly, from the time they're 10 years old, doing something to perfect it. Whereas the greats, I guarantee you Willie Mays did not have a hitting coach, did not have a pitching coach, and did not play baseball 120 games a year when he was 11. Willie Mays was just fucking awesome. He was just Willie Mays.
He really
you know,
was.
and
He
Hank
really
Aaron
was.
was just Hank Aaron, and Babe Ruth was just Babe Ruth. So
But
Bryce
the-
Harper was not
I
just
just think-
Bryce Harper. You know what I
think
mean?
the business is just different. That they're putting so much money in players that it just has to be that way. That the money that's getting put in and the business side of it, like predicates it to be what it is now.
You want this show to go a fucking hour? You want to talk about the business of it? The business of it is ruining it. Is the business of it, and
But
the
that's what
reason
it
why
is,
on
though.
show number 10 we're doing this show that no one fucking watches is because the business side of this is ruining sport. It's ruining sports. We could talk about FIFA, what just happened with FIFA.
Right.
You know, going to Qatar, whatever you want to call it. But putting these guys into a World
Let me
Cup
steal a little of this.
of, you know, forced labor, horrible conditions for the workers there, the guys dying. Sports Illustrated had an article on it. The guys who were building that project for the World Cup to be in Qatar, they're dying. They're living in fucking huts.
First
and
of all,
they're
no one
dying.
even knows if they could play.
It's
It's gonna be 120
degrees. It's 120 degrees.
How are you gonna play soccer without dropping dead?
Right. What's the matter? You got a cold or something? You sound a little nasally. Right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Allergies. This pollen tree.
Jameson's good for
Yeah,
you.
knock that right at him.
I'll work it out.
So the business of it is killing it. The agents, it's why the
The
Yankees,
AAU coaches.
the AAU coaches, the Yankees have played Sunday night, I think 4 times, maybe 5. I don't know if you know how many times. But half of their Sunday games have been at 8 o'clock at night. So if you have a son, you want to take him to a Sunday afternoon game. Hey, we got tickets 1 o'clock now. Let's move to 8. The business side of sports is ruining it, and then you have ESPN, who is charged with covering what they've created. It's like Dr. Frankenstein fucking reporting on Frankenstein. You created a monster, and then you're going to report on that monster. You're going to say like, yeah, but you know, he looks cute and green. You know, it doesn't make any sense. There's no entity, except maybe Real Sports or there's a couple that are trying, that cover sports in a way that it should be covered, and it's running rampant business-wise. You know?
Agreed, but I didn't get an answer to my question.
Oh fuck.
Why are all these fucking guys hurt? Is it
Yes,
roids?
you did.
Is it
Can you
roids?
say
Is it
that
working
was-
out? Is
Is
it?
it working out part?
It's roids and the workouts.
Is that what it is?
Because everyone's so tight now. It's not like everyone's like loose. And
Because
everyone's
maybe
just,
because maybe that's not the answer. Keith Hernandez was on the other day, and he talked, and he
Doughy
said
fuck too when he played.
he was what?
Doughy. He wasn't.
No. But you know what he said? You're right. But you know what he said? And I didn't know this. He said to me, he went on the DL in his career once
Hamstring
on
Cleveland.
the 15-day DL for a hamstring. That's
hamstring
what he
Cleveland,
said.
Going to third base. I remember it.
Guy played his whole fucking career.
Yeah.
These guys can't get through a month without being hurt.
Keith Hernandez also doesn't believe in batting practice. He doesn't believe in it. He's like, yeah, you practice. You get a little tone, you know, like that. He goes, these guys taking 150, 200 swings. He goes, that's ridiculous.
Actually,
He goes, that's
Neither do
utterly-
I.
He goes, that's utterly ridiculous.
not that
There's
I'm
no
Keith
way-
Hernandez, but I don't agree with it either. Because having somebody lob the ball over the plate, you smack the shit out of it,
Right.
not going to help you against fucking major league pitching.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think it's a big deal either.
Which goes back to another point of, fuck, we got a lot to talk about, of how these kids are evaluated these days. And the reason why maybe some of these, the system is broken, because you go to a showcase, and we've been to showcases, and you got a coach lobbing a ball.
I know
to
what
a
you're
kid,
gonna say,
and
yeah.
a kid's fucking nailing the ball, and you're like, well, how will you possibly know whether this
How
kid
do you
can catch
gauge-
up with
how do you
86,
gauge that?
87? You know,
How do you know the kid could fucking
Right.
adjust to a curveball?
right. Right, and then you roll them some ground balls,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, here you go.
All right,
but
thanks.
that's where the AAU guys
And-
come in, and
And some idiot with
But
not
that's the
idiot, I
same thing
shouldn't
that
say
happens in
they're
the
kids,
Dominican
but
Republic
Right.
when they have
but
kids
somebody
that are,
with a long looping softball swing that can hit the ball 400 feet.
hey, don't
like
talk
he's
about
hit-
Mike like that.
Like he's hitting it off the tee,
400.
and they look at him and they go, "Boy, this kid can hit." No,
Yeah.
he can hit a lick.
Dudley.
So you're right. But I will say, you talk about the game, and the game belongs to us, baseball, and I agree with you.
I love
But
baseball,
we
man.
can't watch the same team from one week to the next because so many guys are out.
That's a great point, Max. I mean, it's an unbelievable.
When's the last time you think you've seen a starting five go 4 out of 5 pitchers for a whole season? Never. In the last like 6 years. Think
Never.
about it.
Nah.
Think about
And
it. Think
Renee,
about
we grew up
think
in,
about
in,
it,
in a
like-
time where
I know what you're
remember
gonna say.
The Dodgers had their infield of like
Russell
Russell
and,
and,
Ropes.
yeah,
And,
they played
sure.
every day.
Every day.
The whole thing.
Every day.
Listen, man, I go on Baseball Reference all the time. Baseball Cube is really good too, but I go on Baseball Reference all the time just to look at the inconsistency of stats. The inconsistency of stats is mind-boggling. Ubaldo Jimenez, you're a Cy Young candidate one year. You are the worst pitcher in the league the next year.
Yeah, that's
It
another
is
thing.
the inconsistency of
Inconsistency
stats,
is
and there's
unbelievable.
only one way to explain it. That's the only one way to explain it. And again, we talk about it a lot, but I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep talking about it. It's ruined the game. It's ruined the games. Steroids have ruined the game.
And don't,
PEDs
and
are
don't
brilliant.
forget the mix of, and it's a big thing. I grew up 4-man rotation, 3 days rest.
Right.
Everybody. Since then, extra days rest, 5-man rotation, 4 days rest.
Right.
There's still more injuries.
Right. Let me
He's
play
still-
devil. Let me play devil's. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Let me play devil's advocate for you. Back then, relative to, baseball's a relative game, which all sports are relative. I mean, you plop LeBron James on the Celtics in 1967, and LeBron James is absolutely destroying people.
He's scoring 50.
Yeah, you can compare it, but just,
But you have to do by the time they play.
genetically,
Agreed.
people get better and bigger as
Right.
they get older.
Yes.
But it's still a relative game where, the same group of people, elite people, are going to compete against each other. So when you talk about, this is how steroids have ruined the game, that's my point, that there was no performance-enhancing drugs back then. So if a guy threw 90, 91, 92, he had a good chance of having a successful major league career.
So 91 now is nothing.
Now a guy,
Better
because
throw
of the outsized guy, Barry Bonds hitting 73, McGwire hitting 70. I got to compete with that outsized guy. So now, even if I'm not going to do steroids, I'm in the weight room and I'm trying to figure out what do I got to do
And
to beat that guy.
then you're tight as hell.
And then you're tight.
eventually-
And then you got
eventually
night
something
commercials
pops.
of everyone
And that's
working
what,
out all
so
year
you
long.
think that this whole between steroids and the working out, the insane working out, is causing this
Yes.
injuries?
I think
I
athletes.
think it's a combination of both. Part of it is steroids, but
Hey,
I
I don't.
think-
I want to put him on the spot for a second. Kadeem, do you think? And well, I'll put all of us on the spot. Do you think athletes are born, or do you think athletes are made?
I think
I
now
think
it's
athletes are born.
I think they're born.
I think they're born.
I think they're born. And now you can hone that skill, and you can try to get that skill.
Right.
But I think they're born, and I don't think that. And right now, what we're in the process of doing, because of all the money involved, I think we're trying to make them.
Now,
That's
when
fair enough.
Athletes are born, but you can make an athlete because there's a difference, like what they say, what talent always hard work always beats talent.
Yeah.
So you could make an athlete, but LeBron James,
Kobe Bryant.
Odell Beckham, these are kids that are born like that. And
Yeah, but I don't think back in the day you could make an athlete. Lawrence Taylor born. I don't think you could make an athlete, and I don't think they try to as much as they do today. You literally had a kid on the field, a baseball field or a basketball court, and a coach or a parent, they're like, holy shit, that kid's unbelievable. And then that kid would move along. Now it's like, all right, my son's not as good as that kid, but I'll send him to a hitting coach, I'll send him to a pitching coach, and maybe we can make him better. And then when he doesn't get better, the frustration suddenly leads to, 16, 17 years old. It's like, well, everyone's doing it. Next thing you know, you do that. Listen, when you say everyone's doing it, I'm not comparing sports to the Holocaust, but yes, I am. When you start saying everyone's doing it, and that's your rationalization for doing any
You got a
type of
problem.
behavior,
You got a fucking problem.
that's when we go sideways, and we've gone sideways. Sports has gone sideways. Oh, everyone's doing it,
Right.
and when you have that mentality,
The
You
answer
know?
to your question is I read Tim McCarver's book a few years ago.
did I have a question? I feel like I'm just
Well, you
Getting
said, are they
speaking.
born or are they made? And Tim McCarver's answer was, at an early age,
you know.
you know you're different.
Yep.
For whatever the reason is, there are certain guys who in school, 99 average, I know they're studying,
Yep.
but they're a little bit different. They just get it. He said, 99% of the time, the major league players, now this is back then, obviously, the players that you see, they were different starting when they were 7.
I got a
They were
very,
just different.
I think I got a good thing with that. Like when my kids played musical instruments, and they were okay. They were middling at it.
Right.
And I remember some of the parents, so they were good enough to hang, but they were, like that. But there were a couple kids who were great at it, and they're great at it, naturally just great at it. And I remember talking to a parent, and the parent's like, "We got to get this kid out of the band because this kid, blah blah blah. This kid's bringing the band down. Wheeler had a really good band." And there was a sentiment of like, get him out, and the sentiment kind of won the day. With sports, there's never, because it's politically incorrect, saying like, look, he's not that good. It's all got to be participation, up until the time they're 14, 15, 16, whatever it is.
More though.
Yeah.
More though.
That-
'Cause, like-
no, but here's what, again, I'm
'Cause-
sorry to interrupt, and I feel like I'm talking a lot tonight, but here's what it is. The travel team took over that thing of, like, if your son wasn't good enough to play, we got a spot because we got a travel team, and if you buck up, your kid will play.
No,
My son plays travel ball.
that's my point. That travel teams start so young now that it's just like if somebody sees a little something in you, like you're already on that path, and then they
Yes.
just leave the regular kids to regular little league, and they have travel teams at like 7 and 8 years old. Like
Right.
it's not at 14 years old where they divide like who has talent and who just playing just for participation.
Right.
It's to the point now, even in basketball too, where you have kids like they have kids in 6th grade talking about the class of 2023. Like, how is that even respect? Like, who knows what happens in the next 7 years in this kid's life
that's
in basketball? And that's how basketball is now.
Scouts.com and Rivals.com. It's two websites devoted to 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade players.
real.
And you see 7th grade kids getting football scholarships, 7th grade quarterbacks getting football scholarships. You've never played a varsity game in your life. You've never picked up a varsity-sized football in your life. But you have a scholarship to USC or Tennessee. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's fine.
Tell them again. I'm telling you right now, it's horrible. No, because, and it's not, but then they'll fit that square peg into the round hole. So the kid might not be the kid, but he's been hyped. So what happens to a kid? You're 16 years old, and you've been hyped since you were 12. And maybe, it's not really panning out like everyone had hoped it would pan out. So what do? Hey, I got this thing. You take this thing. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. And he takes it and he's all right. Listen, I'm not saying Bryce Harper's on steroids.
I hope he's not. And Mike Trout.
I hope he's
and
not
Chris
either.
Bryant.
But I got to
Because
tell you,
their
Chris
future's
Bryant
good.
doesn't look to me, but neither did Ryan Braun. But you look at Bryce Harper's
Yeah, the
forearms,
Irish trend.
and he's 22 years old. And if you don't think that
That's why I give him benefit
it
down
is
to the 22.
fucking ridiculous
Right.
what he looks like and what he has looked like.
But
since he was 16.
Did you ever see the thing where he was 16 and his dad was throwing like fucking sunflower seeds in his garage? Like his dad, that's one of the things that, like, when you say are players born or are players bred, like I think he has amazing natural ability, but I feel like what he's been put through of what since he's been like 5 years old. He dropped out of high school when he was 16 to go fucking play fucking college ball. Like, who does that? He was bred to play baseball. Like,
he was bred to, but I would give his father a ton of credit because his father realized that he has a natural ability in sport.
Nuts.
Yeah. See,
Nuts.
I wasn't nuts. I used to throw Andy bottle caps because bottle caps would
spin.
They move and they kind of like it's.
Wow, that
funky,
was
so you're up
good.
there
I
like
only
that.
threw the little like ping pong balls, but you used to get them at the dollar store.
Yeah.
And I used to throw them those.
Yeah.
Because they would move.
They
and
move
stuff.
a little bit.
But
so
your bottle caps.
I'm gonna throw the actual seed in sunflower seeds when I was a kid. Like, I'm gonna crack it open and throw the seed.
But again, like it doesn't, it's only going to work if the kid was born to
Right.
be an athlete.
And the other thing is, because I grew up in a sports family, but my oldest brother, who's 10 years older than me, loves sports.
So it is like 190.
Fucking wise is.
Who do you vote for, Lincoln?
Oh man, this is getting tough. He's a good guy, loves sports, got into sports as a career, wasn't an athlete. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I think a lot of parents have gotten because sports is such a big, it's like the fabric of society.
It is.
Everybody's got to, be involved. No, they don't. My brother wound up being managing editor of Ring magazine, boxing. He did a lot of work on the Baseball Digest. He's a very, very smart guy, loves sports, took me to 1,000,000 games. Wasn't a good athlete. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And today, it's like, oh my God. My brother had other abilities. I have one other brother who was a good athlete. And I played a lot of ball, and my kid, but not everybody can be that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
How do you think this question would be answered in a survey? All right, you have a child's son, and you have three choices. He can be the CEO of a global bank, make $20 million a year, be one of the smartest guys in the world. He could be a scientist, creating cures for cancer. He can be.
Got it. Wrapping it up after this.
Okay.
He can be an actor, commanding, making movies. He can be a professional athlete. You give that survey to people. How many people would say, if they answered honestly,
at least 70%.
would say professional athlete?
At least 70% say professional athlete.
I'm A.
Oh, you
Right.
want the first one?
Oh yeah.
I think I might want the scientist.
I'm gonna go with the first one, $20 million a year. But I would be real tempted to say C.
Those yachts are nice, man.
There is a genetic component.
But
to
you're right.
saying-
You're 100% right.
No,
Yeah.
but the majority definitely gonna say
Yeah.
A.
Oh,
C.
he's a professional athlete.
Majority
Men,
gonna say-
listen, it's biological, man. Men want to be men. Men want to be athletes. And when you spawn an athlete, listen, I don't care what you say, and this is brutally honest. You're like, yeah,
I'm the man.
I got a guy. And that's because, when
That's
you,
fine, Mike,
when
that's
you
fine
spawn
to
an
a-
accountant, you're like, oh, it's great, he's doing great, but there is a difference to it.
It's fine
not,
to a point.
Of course, it's not. It
fine to a
doesn't even
point.
make sense.
We're not. This
Cavemen?
is.
Last thought,
Right.
man. Last thought.
You're 100% right.
Yeah,
we're
we're not
not cavemen, and you want your kids to be happy.
I want the
and,
science.
and we don't need to have an athlete.
No, you don't. But I think that's the way that.
I said I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'll go with it anyway. Just before we do.
Awesome.
Okay, I have two sons. They were both pretty athletic. Was that nice? Yeah, very nice. I really enjoyed the fact I could go to their games, this, that, blah, blah, blah. If my sons, either one of them came to me and said, Dad, I'm gay, would I want to hear that? No, not particularly, because they're my sons, and I love them, and I would love them no matter what they were.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't need to have athletes. I'm glad they were because I'm into sports, but I think parents are missing the thing here of having good people and having. You understand what I'm saying?
I know we're
Yeah.
wrapping it, but I got to tell you,
We're wrapping this topic.
I
Yeah, we
completely
have one more
agree
topic.
with you. Me and you are very fortunate guys because I would say to myself that my kids have made my life easier because I'm like, well, I know a little bit about baseball, I know about sports, and again, you know me very well. If Andy wanted to, arrange flowers, I'd be like, all right, we'll arrange your flowers.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, there was no push from me of like, be a baseball player, be a basketball, whatever it was. Never, zero. It was more like, this fucking kid wants to have a catch again. So you talk about athletes being born, but it made my life easier, 100 times easier.
Right.
Because he was doing something I like. Now, do I think to myself, like, did I push him in that direction? Yeah, I'm sure I did. I mean, I don't know. Of course I did, but maybe it was because, like, well, it's easy to go on. Yeah, spend time together, talk, and throw the ball around. So yeah, I'm sure there was that. So it's not guilty of it, but I agree with you on that. Just fucking be happy.
Be happy with you.
We gotta move on. Stop. Everybody,
Okay,
stop.
sorry.
All right, let's talk about the NCAA. The racket job the NCAA has. Jarrell Peppers, #1 recruit for Michigan last year from New Jersey, tweets ramen noodles. Thanks NCAA. I'm not trying to get paid, but I just want to eat. And this is not the first time it's happened. Shabazz Napier tweeted after the NCAA tournament, after they won the NCAA tournament, that he was also he went times that he was hungry.
They're getting a free education, guy. Free. You know how much it costs to go to UConn?
You know how much?
$160,000. Get out of here. Next question.
You know how much basketball team makes for UConn?
Next question.
You don't even believe that.
We don't fucking.
Yeah, this is stupid. That doesn't make any sense.
About $20 million for what they made after they paid everybody's free education.
Right. Basically, you have guys making, because they have a scholarship, $50,000 a year, that the next year are going to make $8 million. So you can't tell me the college is getting a free education.
And you have
they're paying $50,000 for talent that's
$7 million a year to coach amateur sports. Like, so how do you justify paying him that much a year if your justification for giving these kids they're getting a free education? All right, so I give John Calipari double.
We know it's money. It's money.
To me, the message is insanely clear, and we know kids who are good in baseball. We know kids who are good in basketball. But specifically baseball, if professional sports is your plan A, you're fucking retarded. You can't. I know he's the #1 recruit. I know whatever he is, that can't be his plan A. So he's got to go to school and he's got to make the school work for him. Meaning, get into a major that maybe one day you'll be able to benefit from, because the system's not going to change for him anytime soon. Don't go to a school where you think like, oh, he's got connections and I can make it to the NFL or I can make it to the NBA, because that's not, for the most part, going to happen. I mean, you look at the NBA. How many professional basketball players are there? 360 in the world, and they're from Australia. They're from Brazil.
Right.
So the best
it's a worldwide sport.
It's a worldwide sport. Golf too. Like you gotta. These kids need to start making sports work for them. Meaning,
no, but
I understand your question.
My problem with this is like when you're working out 3 times a day to get better at your craft, and then because once you don't live on campus, you get a stipend for a certain amount of money, and that stipend's supposed to hold you over food and living wise for a whole semester, and that money's just not enough when you're working out 4 times a day.
Mike Krzyzewski said it. He said, "Look, we have all these sports. Unless you're willing to separate women's field hockey from men's basketball and say, wait a minute, we are going to pay football, basketball, these major schools.
Revenue producing sports.
Revenue producing. If you're not willing to do that, then this is done. This conversation is done. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not willing to do that. Because they're never going to allow the tight end on North Carolina to get X amount of money, but the field hockey, lacrosse, or whatever it is not going to get money. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Eric Embro, the bastard I hate. Oh, good evening. Who did you want to talk about? Last topic for today.
Ebenezer.
Oh, kid.
Lives from Brooklyn.
Scrooge? Ebenezer Scrooge?
Nah, Ebenezer.
African last name.
African last name. No disrespect to the African community. He's a redshirt freshman at Clemson this year. Gets kicked off, and he would have started this year as a redshirt freshman from Brooklyn. And football. High school. Could have gone anywhere he wanted in the country. Went to Clemson. Gets kicked out yesterday for credit card scamming. Now, first of all, you have kids that are saying they can't eat, and then you have these other kids that are taking advantage of the system. Like, well, do you feel any remorse for him? Do you feel bad? I don't feel bad at all for him, because There's other ways around that.
I feel horrible for him, to tell you the truth.
Do you really?
Yeah, I kind of do, man.
Credit card
listen,
scamming, like you're really just ripping off somebody's hard work
Come
that
on,
they've done
Mike.
their whole life.
Yeah,
There's certain things you can't. There's places you can't go.
Where was his upbringing? Where was his, mentor to tell him that? Listen, I don't know, Max. I'm not saying I feel bad for him. I'm taking the opposite end of it, but the opposite end of it is how old is he?
19 years old. 19, maybe 20 years old.
I'm afraid by
How many DWs would you have gotten when you were 19? How many stupid things did you do? I would do credit, but when you
can't commit crimes, Mike. You can't commit crimes. Come, give me a break.
Yeah, but
I feel bad. I think they're getting screwed. I think that
also
they should be
can't-
getting paid in college, but you can't
Simone.
fucking commit crimes.
How are you?
You can't commit
Okay.
crimes.
I also think that at 19 years old, I'm hoping he gets a second chance.
Nah, he will.
Maybe that's
He
what
will.
I'm
He's
trying
that
to say.
talented.
Like,
He's gonna go
Okay.
go to
All right.
Super
No, that's
Bowl.
fair enough.
I'm like, come on, like,
But
like
I don't know
you
if
feel
Ray
like
Rice is
almost
ever gonna get a second chance.
I don't know. Would you be
After
feeling?
the Ray-
Would you be
after
feeling
the
the
Ray
same? I've
McDonald.
answered this question a million times.
Yeah.
Would you feel the same if that kid was walking down the block, saw your daughter?
No, it's totally different.
No, I'm answering you a question now. Saw your daughter and said, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm getting screwed. I'm hungry." Blah 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 blah, and threw your daughter down and took her lunch money. She banged her head. That'd be okay.
Yeah, but I think a credit card scam is probably more of he feels like it's probably more of a victimless crime.
It is.
He's he's detached from it. He's probably on a computer. He's probably doing something he knows he shouldn't do, but the blood is not on the hand. And
Fair enough, but
and
you're responsible for your actions.
You are
Of
responsible.
course
for
you
that.
are, but I hope
I
you
guess-
Nobody's
get it
saying
back.
hang this
I
guy.
guess the justification is a victimless crime because the credit card company is gonna Kadeem once.
But there was another incident where I don't know if you guys heard. Rutgers D-back got 3 days ago on robbery.
I heard about it. Yeah, I heard about that one. The armed robbery with the guy.
It's like Ray Lewis said.
Is that okay?
That's why.
That's
That's what Ray Lewis said. If there's no
I just
football, it's
wondered.
gonna be crime.
But the credit card scam thing, which again, this is another show. This is next week or 2 weeks from now, whatever we do. But what's up with football players? What is it about that sport? And I think again, you talk about
I think it's the upbringing.
to connect the injuries of with baseball. Someone's got to do some kind of study, smarter than us. Why there's so much violent crime? Why there's so much domestic violence? Why these guys
There's a culture.
are criminalized almost with football? Hey, could it be? But could it
There's
be
the
that heads
culture.
getting banged
There's the
around?
culture plus the head trauma.
Head trauma, steroids. I mean, I don't know. Kadeem, you
Or
played
is the
football.
fact that
I
the
don't
game
know.
is
But
violent
I mean,
It's just
puts you in that type of sport?
do the coaches also make you kind of like they want violence, right?
It depends on where you go. My high school coaches, they were very, and I say this, I went to school in Brooklyn. I had white coaches, and that probably was the best thing that happened. As far as what I know from other schools, like
Yeah.
other high schools.
Grand
that
Street
we played,
campus graduate right
Right.
here. Where's Dylan at?
pitched last night.
Yeah, whatever. Get him on the show. Get our viewing.
But would a black coach be harder on you?
I want to talk. It's not even about. It's just the way my coaches brought us up. And when we will have Big Apple, you will see the difference. How their coaches, I almost said boys and girls high school, their coaches used to fight each other. Okay, they all used to. It was just, but it was really just.
Yeah, it's like the Roosevelt coaches.
And me personally, I think it was because they were black and how they would treat their kids. Like my coaches, they cared about what I did in school and made sure I got recruited properly. You know,
It's all
good
about.
job.
It's,
Good
it's
for
all
them.
about
Good for
teaching.
them.
It's all about teaching. Me and
let me say this: my coaches made sure they taught me how to be a man and how to
more
do
than
things
being a
right.
football player.
Some
Right.
coaches they don't care about that.
Right.
And I've seen it, and I've seen a lot of kids.
But
They don't.
and that's another
some
thing.
Kids, some kids used to miss practice. Some kids used to miss practice on other teams that I know and still playing the game. I missed practice one time. They
Yeah,
took
you
me
were
off
out.
the team.
Yeah, so that's
And then the following week, I had to practice with JV for 3 days.
right.
Good for you,
Right.
coaches. Good,
Yeah.
good for them. Good for
Well,
them.
because your coaches knew, and when I coached and Max coached, I know Max did this and I did it. I'm not coaching to win a game. I'm coaching to teach you about life. Coaching is an unbelievably underrated job. Sports are underrated again, and this fucking circles back to
Right.
why we're doing this stupid shit in the dark now. sports is being taken over by the wrong entities, and sports should be taken over by coaches that you had.
And that's another thing.
And that's what it's about. You're not going like.
Right.
That's
Because
We're
that's
not
another
going to the
big-
NFL. We're not talking about the MLB. What we're talking about is using sports as a vehicle to create better men
to better your life.
and better
To better
women,
your life.
you know?
And here's the answer. Excuse me for a second.
Go ahead.
as we drink.
As we drink, but as a coach, you actually have kids that are there because they want to be there.
Yeah.
When a kid's in a math class, a lot of times, big percentage, they have to be there. They'd rather not be there. Fuck this. When you, as a coach, you have an actual attentive audience. These kids are there because they want to be there. And that gives you a lot of influence on what those kids do.
Yeah.
And so coaches, I think, can have actually a bigger influence at times
Right.
than teachers do.
Yeah. Their captive audience. Wants
Yes.
To be.
My last thought is yesterday, me and Danny were playing Tuesday night in Juniper. There was this guy hitting fucking ground balls to his kid. And the kid missed a couple ground balls, didn't take it off the chest. He came out with the bat in his hand, cursing. This kid's 9 or 10 years old, top. What the fuck are you doing? That's not how the fuck you... And that all comes back to why some of these NFL players are like that. When you're growing up in the Deep South and football is life, that this is all they know. And they're not getting taught life lessons like this is how you treat people. They're getting taught this is how you take on a block, you shed a block, and then you make a tackle. They're not getting taught like this is right, this is wrong. They're just getting geared to I'm just gonna play football. So they don't have those life skills that everyone has. It's not it's not an excuse, but it's not they're at a disadvantage of everybody
But
else.
I can promise you one thing: that guy isn't only not going to have an athlete because that kid's going to shut it down.
Oh, he will shut down.
Okay.
I saw that kid.
He's
out
not
for
even
like
going to have a happy,
son.
productive
He's not gonna have a
kid.
son.
Right.
He's not gonna have a
So
son.
that's just not the answer.
Well, that goes back to athletes being born and athletes being created. I knew this kid that, I had the opportunity to hit a ton of ground balls to him. I'd hit ball after ball after ball. He made an error, he'd be like, I suck. I'd be like, no, you're great, man, you're great. And I'd teach him how to do it the right way. I'm like, you're good, don't worry about it. We're in the batting cage, I'm throwing a ton of balls to him. His hand starts to bleed. I'm like, what are you doing? I gotta get better. I'm like, don't worry about it. You're gonna be good. And then you try to teach him how to play, but he wanted it so badly. So that kid was born playing, wanting to compete and wanting to play.
Right.
That father who is trying to force his kid into, square peg round hole.
He was trying to make him the next Alex Rodriguez. That's what he was trying to
That's
do.
not going to work.
No, that is not
But the
gonna
kid
work.
that I knew, that I was hitting ground balls to,
He
was
wanted
harder
it.
on
You
himself.
had to shut him down.
Yeah, so that's the. I'm like, are we finished for the night?
That kid is.
No,
good.
hit me
Right.
50 more. So that's the difference.
You're not only going to ruin
Next
your
last thought.
athlete. Well, just going back to what you said, you're not only going to ruin an athlete, you're going to ruin the kid.
You're gonna ruin the kid.
And that's not what you should want as a parent. Like I
Right.
said before, different people are set to do different things, and you know what? Whatever they're good at, they're
Right.
good at.
Kadeem, last thought?
I can't see y'all through the camera.
Uh-oh.
I think we're out. See you in a couple of weeks, guys.
Good night.